going on, guys? I'm going to take off on a little bit different direction on this channel. You're going to see quite a bit of shop time. Today we're going to start rebuilding the engine for this Samurai we got sitting next to us. This one's, we're calling this the fundraiser build. We're just fixing this one up to sell to get us some money for the next projects, which will be the true overlanding rig. So there's going to be a good mix of trail videos in here too, but for now, we got to make some money so we can get bigger and better. Stick with us. Not sure what happened to the audio on this clip, but all I'm doing here is getting the main bearing set down in the block. Just use oil or assembly lube in the journals there and make sure you orient the bearings the right way, set them into place. I'll go into more detail here when I start doing the rod bearings. Here's on my own. This is actually my dad's Samurai. He bought these two. He made a deal with me. He bought these two. I found them on a really good deal with the agreement that I fix one of them for him to sell and I get to keep the other one. So a pretty good trade. All right, let's see what we can do and get these crankshaft caps tightened down. And I'll put all the torque specs on the screen, make it a little easier on you. We're back out here in the shop. I actually backed up and pulled the oil pan back off and the head back off because I realized I was in a hurry and I didn't pay attention to what direction I put the rings in. And so I pulled pistons back out and just verifying it. Sure enough, on the first one I checked, I had the rings in upside down. So I'm glad I did that. So the crankshaft, it's still in, still torqued down. You know, everything's lubed up good, everything's within spec. I already checked one piston, got it fixed, so we're gonna drop it back in, get it torqued down, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about on the next piston with the rings. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. Take the cap off. When you do your cap, I'll try and get a picture of that in a minute, but they've got arrows on the caps and also grooves where the rod bearings go. So if the groove on your cap and the groove on your rod bearing both end up on the same side, then you've got it facing the right direction. Because these are mated. You don't want to mix your cap up with a different rod. And you've got to make sure it's turned the right way. There's an arrow on top or on the bottom indicating direction, or like I said, just make sure your notches are both on the same leg of the connecting rod and they'll be the right way. But I'll get a picture of it for you in a minute. I'm gonna take these rings off. If that one's the right way, I might not have to take these off. If it'll focus, yeah, you can see an arrow right there in the center of the screen telling you which direction to point this, or if you're unsure, see this notch here, you want to line that up with the same notch on the connecting rod. Hard to see, but you get the idea. So as you can see, the writing there on the ring, that always goes to the top, and I completely forgot about that when I was putting it together, so this is why I took it back apart. So yeah, that ring was on upside down. We're going to check them all as we put them back in and retorque everything down. So that's that, and that's why we took it back apart. because I was brain dead when I was putting it together and did not pay attention to my rings. I'm glad I remembered it. You want to be real careful that your studs on the bottom of your connecting rods don't crash into your crankshaft and mar it up. That's why you see me reaching down through there real slow. Before we flip it back over, something rotate. Normally I would rotate after each piston to make sure it's turn free. I forgot to do it after the first one, but after two is not too bad. So half of them in, spins nice and free, and turn it a couple times just to make sure. And we're going to go ahead and stop it. Lily, stop eating the car. Lily, don't eat the car. Look over and she's chewing on the front shackle on the other Project Samurai. I'm confused by this dog. Okay. Now we're ready to put our pickup tube back in. Got a fresh O-ring on there. It just goes like so. Actually, before I do that, rather than trying to put it down through there, kind of strict. Alright, Dad was here. We got a Healy coil put in. I didn't film that just because he's a little uncomfortable being on camera. And my sister was here and it just turned into a circus. So we're just gonna bypass that. New Healy coil is in lieu of the oil pan gasket, which I have a brand new one. But they were advised that, or I was advised that they don't work. The guy, at least according to the guys at Low Range Off-Road, none of these Samurai oil pan gaskets are worth a crap because the Samurai oil pan was designed to not use a gasket, it just RTV, gasket. RTV silicone for a gasket. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, guys, we are back at it. I got the timing belt in and the tensioner pulley. We're gonna get that slapped on, get the valves adjusted, and that's gonna wrap up this video. Woohoo! Might not even put the valve cover on. I think I want to paint it, get it nice and fresh looking. Anyway, let me get the camera turned around. We'll get this timing belt slapped on, adjust some valves, and call it a day. And get our belt turned so we can read the rating as we're looking at it. I honestly don't know why that matters. I was just told to do it that way. Sometimes I do what I'm told. I know different brands of belts will give you a little more slack. So if we're going by that, I don't think I recommend the Duralast belt from AutoZone, because this thing is, it'll work, but man, it is not any extra length at all. Timing marks are still good. Okay. We put a spring on the tensioner and call it a day. Yeah. Got the spring on the tensioner. I'll probably take and grind down this wrench a little bit just to make sure I can get that in there. Stays tight. Okay, so you're gonna need a 6/1000 feeler gauge for the intake, 7/1000 for the exhaust, 12mm wrench, flathead screwdriver. Take your wrench, loosen up your lock nuts on the ones you're gonna be adjusting. You got a screwdriver to hold your bolt there in place, your stud. Get those loose. Take your feeler gauge. With our timing marks, both of them pointed up. We're top dead center on number 4. That lets us do the intake on 3 and 4 and the exhaust on 2 and 4. So we're gonna start here on 3. We're gonna adjust this out a bit. And you want just a little bit of tension on that feeler gauge. A little bit of friction. That feels pretty good. Lock it down, you can come back in and double check. It honestly could be a little bit tighter. I don't know why that's being weird. Much. I like that one. Picasso. Throw your wrench so you can bend over and touch your toes and get your exercise in for today. That feels good. I'm gonna go just a hair tighter on this. Perfect. Okay. So now, take this and we'll do one full rotation. That'll put your camshaft timing mark at the bottom. And that will allow you to adjust 1 and 2 intake and 1 and 3 exhaust. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this. Timing's set, valves are adjusted. Off camera, I'm gonna scrape some old gasket off the intake manifold, get it put on. The exhaust manifold's actually still under that Samurai, which is, its bolts are pretty rusty, so I'm gonna just take the whole exhaust out, because actually there's none under this other one. So I'm gonna take that exhaust, transfer it to this one. But I want to get that exhaust manifold, get those old rusty bolts out, get it cleaned up, put some new bolts in, all that good stuff. So anyway, next video on that, we're going to fix the wiring harness, maybe start hammering the transmission tunnel back into place. I'll show you on it where old transmission and it went boom and made some interesting damage in there. And hopefully after that, we're ready to set an engine and transmission in and see if she'll come to life. Anyway, see y'all in a week or so. Are you a good girl? Yes. Hello. Hi, baby. You can't eat my gloves. Get better or just continue to suck for all eternity? I don't know.